What's happening, everybody? It's Carl Schultz here, and today we're going over what is the best website builder. So, there's a lot of people that are building websites nowadays, and it can get a bit overwhelming with all the tools and resources that are out there. But what I found to be very beneficial for me was, early on trying a lot of different things, such as like Wix, different platforms such as Wix, WordPress, WordPress.com versus WordPress.org. I've tried Square, I've tried BigCommerce, and I think I've tried Blogger. There's so many different kinds of website builders that are out there. But really, when it comes to building websites, you need to understand ecosystems. Ecosystems are basically, is there a marketplace for developers to contribute to the website? And so I remember starting off, I think, with Wix, and then I realized like that kind of was getting pricey. It wasn't as customizable as I would like. And so, I was publishing there. I've worked really hard on that Wix website. And then I just realized like it's really tough to back up your stuff. It's just not as fancy, I guess you could say, as WordPress.org. And I guess you could say I failed a lot trying to build that way. I don't think it wasn't until like 2022 or 2023, so like within the past year, that I was really able to get a grip on what is the best website builder. So, you're limited in some aspects when you start using things like Shopify. When you start using Shopify, you have a better ecosystem, but your control is limited. And that goes along the same lines as there's another one I use called Bandzoogle. That's for building musician type websites. But again, you're so very limited on what you can do. Like just the other day, I backed up my WordPress.org website pretty easily thanks to a third-party plugin. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to choosing one, I think that's the most important thing, because I remember when I first started building websites, I tried so many different platforms, and that time could have been better spent just using WordPress.org and going from there. Yeah, I know when you're first starting, it's tempted to use like whatever people are promoting. I know Wix is like really popular, and Wix is pretty cool, but you have to realize like sometimes they limit like what you can do, like such as like affiliate marketing, or like what you can say on their site. There's like the whole freedom of speech type of thing. And so I just found that I wanted to have more control. And the thing is, like with WordPress.org, is you can you have what do they say? It powers like 40% of the all websites or something like that. And so yeah, I mean, it can be daunting at first to try to like pick and choose a specific one. But what I would say at this point in time, at this time of recording, I would go with WordPress.org. What I do is I use Cloudways Hosting. Cloudways Hosting is a managed hosting type of provider, and they're absolutely great. Like, I love their customer service, super easy to get everything set up. They have that one click, and there's just a lot that goes into building websites, and that's kind of like why it is a complex topic. It is a big marketplace, or a big space, like competitively speaking. Like everybody's looking to offer you like a mobile only WordPress, or a mobile only website, where like you can only just build it from your app. But I use a desktop, and everything gets powered through the desktop, and we got a lot to think about as far as I'm thinking like, because there's blog writing tools and stuff, but that doesn't really have much to do with WordPress. you can always just copy that text and paste it in. But I'm looking here and I see like you have e-commerce type of websites, but then you also have like, you need a blogging functionality type of website. And so one of the sites that came up was Ecwid. Ecwid is an e-commerce platform, specifically for people trying to sell stuff, but that is it. Like, you can't do a whole lot. And so, like, for example, if I were to do the same thing, try to build an e-commerce site with WordPress, it would be really easy because I could integrate with Ecwid, right? So like, you have like sister type of websites that integrate really well with WordPress, but they're also standalone, which means you could get by. There's another one I just came across. It's called With Koji. I'll put a link in description so you can see like what my site looks like. But basically, you're able to go and build one for free, and it acts almost as a link in bio. And so link in bios are those Instagram one-click. So you click that one link in the Instagram or TikTok, and it takes you to a series of websites. It's just like a drop-down list. So that's something very new that I stumbled upon that I've found super fascinating. So ideally, you want your own domain name .com, right? Because WordPress, you're able to go in and measure analytics like a lot better. You just have so much more control. And so just a little briefly, when it comes to building websites, you want to back things up, obviously, but you also want to have a database so you can keep track of all your articles that you've written. And what I do is I use Airtable, and it has all of the information from the URLs to the number of clicks the post got, to like linking related posts, to coming up with prompts, and like just you can insert a lot of code, and it just makes your life so much easier. So I use Airtable to back things up. That way, if the site ever goes down, I have all of my data, so to speak. And when I was copying data before, I would just like copy the article. But now I just create backups of the site, which includes articles, images, and stuff. So I remember when I was using Bandzoogle, I was taking the article itself, copying the text, and posting it into my database on Airtable. But now I see that as a waste of time. Like, I used to copy the HTML code, but you could do that. But now I'm backing things up, like the whole site. And I use pCloud. pCloud is the storage. I'll put a link in the description as well. So pCloud is one of the best storages that I found, where you can like back things up, and just I categorize everything and I put it in there. So everything is an ecosystem, right? Like, you have tools for the job. And I remember a long time ago, when I was going to college, I built a website, and I was using SiteGround. SiteGround is a hosting platform, another one. It is very reliable, and they have good customer service too. Now it's another go-to. That kind of was getting pricey. Cloudways is a lot cheaper, and you can scale with it. But SiteGround was really cool. And so the reason I say that is because SiteGround, you're gonna change a lot. You're gonna switch course, and you're gonna try to figure out what is and what isn't working. So when I say I built a lot of websites, I built a lot of different ones, and I've tried a lot of different things. Right now I'm currently, like I said, with Cloudways, and they've been treating me good. But that's the beauty, right? When you have your own hosting versus like hosting on a site such as Wix, where they do the hosting for you, you're very lucky if you can back up that data. So you can see how like people get anxious because they don't have control. You want control in the healthiest sense possible. So if we were to talk a little bit about why website builders are important, if I could just introduce you to the concept of marketing in general, you want to have a website for a number of reasons. You want to get people off of social media and to your website. And when you have your own website, like one that you have full control over in that sense, you're effectively taking those customers and creating an environment with your own website to encourage them to click more things. As you can see, you're so limited with things such as Instagram, or I mean YouTube's a pretty good one, but TikTok, like you only have so many places to put links. So you want to have your own website so that people can continue to learn more about you, and you have the ability to add links and people can click and you can see what they're interested in. And another thing that I've noticed is there's something called drag and drop versus code-based builders. If you're able to edit the code directly on your website, that's what you want. Sometimes you can't even get into the theme or the file of like these hosted website builders, and it's a pain. It's a real stressor because you want to customize something and you can't, and they're gonna and sometimes they charge you to be able to access that code in the back and to edit. So that's kind of like what those drag and drops are, but WordPress.org is a code-based builder. And another thing that comes to mind is you have certain website builders that will only give you what they have as far as SEO goes. Like if you need to go in there and edit the meta description, what if the hosting doesn't let you? Like what if Wix doesn't let you go in there and edit the fine details? Like changing H2 tags or going into the meta description. There's a plugin called Yoast SEO for WordPress that allows you to really get in there and make sure that your stuff is searchable to Google. And there's a lot of these, like I don't even know if Square or Wix does that. Wix probably does, but some of them I just don't think you can do it to the degree that you can with WordPress.org. When it comes to mobile responsiveness, nowadays most hosted platforms will enable you to be able to like do something in mobile. They will allow you to see your website in a mobile friendly version. Most of them, regardless of WordPress or Wix. I'm using Wix because Wix is a popular one, but more than likely it's going to be mobile friendly. But again, with WordPress.org, you could easily download a plugin that will allow you to make your website that's mobile look even better. We briefly touched on this already, but integration and add-ons are extremely important. Various integrations, such as third-party plugins, e-commerce tools, and analytics. With WordPress.org, you have a huge ecosystem, not to be confused with WordPress.com, which if you want access to those plugins, you have to pay more per month. So when I look across the board, Shopify has a huge ecosystem. I know with Koji has a great ecosystem as well. It's okay, nothing compared to WordPress.org, but another one that comes to mind is Wix. Probably has a decent one, but there's just probably not as many developers for Wix as there are WordPress.org. So you got to pay attention, no matter where you're going, whether it's WordPress.org or something else. You got to pay attention to the number of integrations. They call them integrations or add-ons. I call it an ecosystem, but you want to make sure there's a plentiful amount and people are actively contributing to that community. You'll know because you'll see a big marketplace with whatever website builder you go with. So as far as success stories go, I've verified that other people have also made that similar mistake too, where they're using something such as Wix and they're finding like the amount of control that they have is limited. I learned from Adam and Froy, that's what he did. He said he tried Wix and it didn't work out. He probably tried another bunch of programs as well, but I found in my personal experience that I had the same issue, where I built them on Bandzoogle, like I was saying, Square, BigCommerce, what do they call it, Blogger.com. I've tried a lot, and what I found is that we're all kind of having the same issue, and that WordPress.org will be a good solution. So the big question is, do you do it yourself or do you hire somebody? I personally do it myself. I have been on the other end as well, where I have built websites for other people, and I find that the best best way to go about it is to do it yourself. If you have a new idea and you want to incorporate it, you don't want to hire a developer who's going to charge you like $100 an hour or something to make a simple update. And I get a lot of questions about that. Like, will you build a website for me instead of like trying to learn it themselves? And I get that. But for me, the skills that I've attained by learning how to build my own website using WordPress.org has just been amazing. I've learned so much. So again, you could hire somebody else, but you're going to be losing a lot of control. When it comes to security, a lot of them, including Wix, will have their own SSL certificate, so it will be protected, I guess you could say. But with WordPress.org, you can go in and you can add plugins to make it more and more secure. You can check for broken links. You just cannot do that with other ones such as Blogger.com, or even with Koji. You can't really do that. So security is pretty important. I never really had any issues with it. Sometimes you get a lot of people spamming like with comments because they're trying to get a backlink. Backlinks are like the currency of the internet. Basically, a link pointing from their site to your site gives them credibility. But no, I haven't really had any issues. Bots are one of those things where it's not really a human. It's just like an algorithm almost going through and hitting your site. So yeah. As far as the future of website builders, there is going to be a huge demand for websites. We saw it, in the past few years. We've seen how everything migrated towards, selling online and stuff like that, and picking up your groceries. We're seeing it now, so that's why I'm saying like the skill is really important to have. And if I were to speculate, I would say that there's going to be more and more website builders, but it's going to change. And I still believe having your own website is going to be important for like that main hub of where people can go and you can point them in the right direction. But it's going to evolve, just like I was figured out what with Koji was, and I'm able to like do that one link in bio thing, and it can populate some of the best articles on my site. It can take them to my e-commerce store. It's a simplified approach, and so it's going to evolve, especially with Web 3.0. The interface, the UI, user interface, it's going to get a lot better. And we're seeing it with virtual reality. It's just going to evolve, but I would imagine people are going to build a way for your website to look even better in like a three-dimensional or augmented way. So it's going to evolve, and it's going to be pretty cool. And I guess to kind of wrap it up, if I were to say like what would be the best website builder, it would definitely be WordPress.org. Pick a hosting company such as Cloudways or WPX or SiteGround. These are all really good. They have great affiliate programs too. And as far as pricing goes, you're going to save a lot more money hosting it yourself versus using like hosting such as Wix, where they're going to charge you for the hosting. I don't know. It gets a little complicated to separate the two, but if you understand me, you can either go to a third-party hosting, which sounds more daunting, but it's going to be more scalable in the long run and more price effective. You're usually looking at like $20 a month if you were to host through Wix, or even to connect a domain and stuff like that. So, but if you can get things a lot cheaper if you go to and host it yourself, versus like the all-inclusive package that a website builder would give you. And with WordPress.org, you're basically picking your own hosting through a third party. You're connecting it to your WordPress, and then you're buying a domain through a domain register, which is like the trifecta of things. But you're looking at, I think I pay like $25 a month for the hosting, and yearly I pay for a domain like $10. But I can scale it and I can upgrade the packages, and so it just, I know they're about roughly the same price, but initially sometimes you can get specials where the hosting is really cheap for the first month, if not free. So as we wrap it up, I just want to say that you cannot go wrong building your own website as long as you stick with it. Some of the biggest things I've struggled with was quitting and it's not working, whatever, but you have to give it time. It usually takes like about 6 months. I mean, I do about 1,000 views per day, but as you can see, I'm driving traffic to my website through videos, podcasts, so it's going to take time, but it feels good knowing that you have control over your website, and it will grow. You just got to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. but it is very rewarding, and I encourage you to do so. I'll be making a lot more videos on the topic of websites, but at this time at the time of this recording, I use Cloudways for my hosting, and it's great. I'll leave an affiliate link there. Again, there's so many you can try. And then as far as like to get started with different plugins, I can put some links in there for the types of plugins that I use. So all in all, don't give up, and know that, most importantly, that it's important to have your own domain.com. So like mine's carlwschultz.com or wolfofficial.com. It's just really important to have that hub. It really is power, and I encourage you to not give up and keep going forward. Until then, I will see you on the next one.